Welcome. I am Sister Who. With me today, I have my friend Chaplain Carridwen, Brennan, and you're a Wiccan chaplain within the correctional system here in Colorado.
Correct.
We've had discussions in other episodes about the whole correctional system thing. Wondered if we could this time turn our attention to, in general, pagans dealing with society. Not just the correctional system, but I imagine there's a lot of issues that may or may not touch on the correctional system that are specifically challenging to be a pagan.
Well, down through time since the modern recurrence of paganism in this country in the starting in the late 50s,
Okay.
and coming forward quite significantly in the 70s, there began to be problems with pagans losing their children to a divorce, and the courts siding with the other parent, and the sole reason being, you're pagan, you can't possibly be a good parent.
Oh dear.
Okay, so that little piece, there have been...
Which may also mean that the parent who was given custody may not have had the best parenting skills.
Yeah, not necessarily, was just not pagan. And the courts, or claiming to not be pagan at that moment, and the courts would make that decision. Jobs lost, the standard things that have happened to any minority group over time. Certainly the gay community understands these issues.
Which here we're getting into what is sometimes referred to as marginalized populations.
Right.
People who are pushed to the margins of society because they're just not like us, whoever us is.
Right, whoever us is. Not the mainstream, not the majority, not even possibly a significant minority. There's reason to believe that the pagan population of the United States is somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3% of the total population. Okay, not a huge percentage, but a significant number in its own right as a number of human beings who are pagan. They're never going to be a big block.
Even if it was only one person.
True.
To me, freedom of choice needs to be respected for all, if it's to be respected for anyone.
Any. And that, of course, is the founders of this country said that quite clearly. There have been times when it's been very difficult in practice. Theory and practice frequently have very little to do with each other. And that's true both in mainstream religions and the major culture in this country, government. The juggernaut just sort of rolls on and rolls over. Those who just
going
too
back
small.
to the founding documents of the country, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
And ever since they wrote that, we've been redefining the word men.
Yes.
In traditional English, my understanding is that men means everybody.
At the time,
mankind.
at that time, that was a common usage for men. It would have been capitalized, as opposed to, and of course they used capitalized individual words more than we do because of the way orthography was then.
Okay.
But yes, at that point, men meant mankind. And it has certainly been redefined since then, legally,
over and over.
to mean that. It means human being, essentially.
Well, yeah. I guess the redefinitions I'm referring to is when we get into everything from the emancipation of slaves to women's suffrage to,
Right.
It's everybody.
And they're a continuum, and we keep, now, well, what about this group? Well, what about that group? And, slaves, okay, women, okay. And then we got down to, well, gays, maybe, and...
Well, it's like we keep arguing over the question of who doesn't count.
Right.
And
And the answer to that would be nobody.
I have come my entire life. I've been insisting everyone matters.
Right.
Everyone. You know, what part of all don't you understand?
A person's a person, no matter how small.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Seuss. I mean, how much earlier in life do you want to learn the
We feed that
basics?
to our kids, and it's true.
Well, I mean, that's where I first learned it.
Yeah.